Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series, and I have a great show today. You watch the show all the time. We're all about entrepreneurship and people that build great companies. And we also love technologists. We love people that really understand the insides and outs about their particular technology platform, their particular technology space. And when we came across what Mr. Bill Hinshaw is doing, of course, with his wife Eileen at the Cobol Cowboys, we had to invite Bill on the show. He, of course, is the co-founder and CEO of Cobol Cowboys. And when we think about providing software development, maintenance, support, deliverables, and all kinds of great solutions for clients in a particular niche, a particular space, it always piques our interest. And when we saw what Bill and Eileen are doing with Cobol Cowboys, we had to bring them on the show. So Bill, welcome to the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Andy, thanks for the opportunity to talk about our company, Cobol Cowboys. What we say, this is not our first rodeo. So
I love that. Yeah, and I love the name. I mean, we talk about branding all the time. Cobol Cowboys is fantastic. It's not your first rodeo. I love that. You really have a unique and very deep expertise, you and your team. But before we sort of give away all the secrets, Bill, let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet. Tell us about Cobol Cowboys, and then we're going to go.
Okay, we were formed in 2011. 2011, and we're based in North Texas, up in the hill country in North Texas. We're surrounded by many horse farms, and we are glad you like the name Cobol Cowboys because that's Eileen. She says what you guys are doing is what the Space Cowboy movie was all about, bringing back the astronauts to fix a modern day problem. Well, we are back. We are back. We never went away, but we are here, and we do develop and support COBOL. That's our prime area due to the large number of installations around the world. 800 billion lines of code running today. We also support the older technology like assembly language, Fortran, RPG. We also, most of our consultants, all 600 of them, support newer languages too. So when you come to us, it's like going into a buffet and you pick what you want from us. So anyway, we provide our services primarily in the USA. We went offshore to handle some urgent SOS issues. But we also are working with a partner in Australia that will onboard our Australian consultants, the ones that actually live in Australia. And if it's not a match there, then they'll come back to us to use our consultants in the USA. So basically, what we do is we support the landscape, whatever language you want, how big you are, how small you are. If you're running on a mainframe, a server, a desktop, we support you on all of that. Also, when we go into a new engagement, we don't know them. First thing we do is we require to prepare what we call a discovery document. And basically that is to go in and see how to get connected to the client, where the files are, where the libraries are, and how to check out programs to make changes, how to make the changes, and so forth. So we require a discovery document, which our clients love it because most of them don't have that, and they love that. So anyway, and we also step in when key personnel are leaving or are no longer available. We've had some clients where the only IT person passed away on the job. And those are the most challenging engagements. It's like walking into a dark room, stumbling around, looking for that light switch. And once you find the light switch, you understand what they were doing. Man, finding that light switch can be very, very challenging. And we also resolve urgent SOS issues, both onshore and offshore. We were resolving Y2K issues in 2020. There was some code put in that would last for 20 years. And the clients thought maybe they would replace the software within 20 years. No, they didn't. And so this time bomb came up we got calls, like we cannot process anything. I mean, it was and we had to jump in with no contracts, just an email saying, we'll do this for you. We'll discuss the terms later. But anyway, that's what we do. We support, step in as needed, and take care of any urgent problems. One of the problems we have is a lack of documentation when we go into a new client. It's either obsolete or not even there. And I want to give a shout out to a company, an AI company that we're advising. It's a company in Colorado. Their name is Phase Change Software. They have built an AI product running on Windows that is a developer's tool. It lets them learn the system in case they're brand new on the job, to maintain it, and to also it does deep debugging of the Cobalt programs and others. But the main thing it does, it automatically documents their environment constantly. And the reason it does that, all the information that they use comes from their program libraries. So you just load that into this Windows-based system, AI, and it will give you a graphical picture. You see all the programs, all the files, you see everything. And for a new person coming in or a new consultant coming in, they can look at a Windows-based screen, and he actually key into areas in the program, key into the files. It just does everything for them. This program also will locate and remove dead code no longer used. There's a lot more features. I think is anybody interested in automatic documentation of AI on Windows, they should go in and check with a company in Colorado called Phase Change Software. Their website is phasechange.ai, phasechange.ai.
I love it, Bill. I love it. We're definitely going to take a look at that. And of course, you're committed really to meeting your clients' software objectives. I mean, you have hundreds of experienced professionals who really deliver a quality service at a very sustainable and reasonable cost that really extends, what I'm going to call extends, your client's investment in Cobol and other software environments. And we know that Fortune 100, Fortune 10 companies are using Cobol. I mean, it's out there, and it's out there really big. Let's take it back just a little bit, because Cobol supports close to 90% of Fortune 500 business systems today. What got you interested in Cobol early on?
I got interested because it's an English-based system, which means that what people call instructions in other software languages, we call verbs. They are English verbs like move, read, write, update, call, perform, add, subtract. So if you are in school in the first grade, you learn these verbs, or you learn them. So when you go later on in your life, you know what a move does, what a subtract does. So you don't have to convert that to other languages that don't use verbs. It's really a good tool. The other thing I liked about it, it allowed us to create field names that were longer than 8 characters. So if you wanted to have a field like year-to-date sales totals, that's what you would write in there, year-to-date sales totals. Basic Cobol is like reading. If you can read a book, you can read Cobol. It's one of the easiest languages to use. It was developed many years ago for the business, still around. It's all over the world. So Cobol will outlive me. I mean.
Well, let's hope not, Bill. Let's hope not. You know, it's interesting, Bill, because you mentioned it. Some reports say that Cobol is really 65% of active code being used today, and it runs 85% of all business transactions. It really has an unrivaled performance with, like you said, almost 1 trillion lines of code. Now, let's talk about it. When somebody reaches out to you, it's a Fortune 500, a Fortune 100, one of these big companies, one of their tech, people reach out to you and they say, hey, Bill and Eileen, we need some help. What's that first conversation sound like with someone that's looking for some expertise and some help?
Okay, the first part of the conversation is for them to introduce themselves and us and what we do. Then we go into what are you needing, what skills, what experience, what industry are you in? what are you looking for? If you were to bring in a new employee, what would you want them to know about you? So you can put them to work. And that's when we go with our discovery document. But once they say, we want to look at your consultants. Can you go through your database of over 600 resumes, find the ones, and vet them? We'll vet them, and then once we feel good about them, we then will call the consultant. Are you available? Because all of our consultants are independent consultants. They can do their own thing if they want to. And are you available and are you interested? And once they say yes, then we will send the resume with the consultant's approval to the client. Of course, we will remove all of the contact information, personal information out of there. And they make the decision and they say, we need to talk to that person. So Eileen will schedule a call and we go from there. Well, once they say yes, then we go through the onboarding process for both the client and the consultant, do all of the agreements and so forth. But that's what it is. A lot of times people come to us that are kicking tires. They've been told you need to talk to 2 or 3 cost companies before you bring anybody in. And for most of our recommendations come from upper management because they read the business magazines or go on into the business internet. So, but in fact, our last 3 engagements came from upper management. You say you need to talk to Cobol Cowboys.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And of course, you get a lot of referrals. You have a lot of testimonials. Sort of the word sort of spreads about what you and Eileen and the team are able to do. And one thing about Cobol that's interesting is it has staying power. I mean, there was a recent study done at the universities. They surveyed a bunch of universities. 71% of them said that they're very convinced that companies will rely on Cobol for many, many years to come. And of course, let's talk about these legacy systems, Bill, because if I'm built on Cobol, I'm one of these Fortune 500 companies, and I need to continually to upgrade my system. I would imagine that they reach out to people like you and your team to say, hey, we want to keep this thing upgraded. We want to keep this thing relevant. We want this code to be as perfect as we possibly could have it. Is that some of those conversations that are going on now at Cobol Cowboys?
Oh yeah, yeah. And the thing about it, you read articles about Cobol, the ones that don't have a favorable opinion of Cobol. They talk about the Cobol was developed in the 1960s, and it was, but they don't continue to say, but it's evergreen. It's constantly updated and updated, both the hardware and the software. In fact, we tell people if you're looking at Cobol back in the 60s today, it's like hopping off of a bicycle and jumping on the back of a Harley Davidson. I mean, there's no comparison, but people have this view that it's old and obsolete. Cobol, most of the time, it puts in functionality ahead of the newer software. I mean, but anyway, Cobol has a bad rap from a lot of things. Y2K was a bad rap, although it wasn't a Cobol problem. It was a data file problem. Cobol got blamed for the unemployment claims not being processed because of COVID. It wasn't Cobol. It was the front end websites. In fact, 27 websites crashed on the day they started taking in applications for unemployment claims. So anyway. Cobol is just fantastic. It's still running the world. A lot of people offshore do not wish to replace it. They're happy with it. It's proven. It runs. It does a good job, and it's faster than you know what. So anyway,
yeah, it's fantastic. And of course, you're right in the middle of it. You've published a lot of articles. You're really a well-known person in the industry. You and your wife Eileen have built this great company. You've been around Cobol for years. Let's talk about it a little bit. So, for the younger entrepreneurs watching the show, Bill, when you started sort of your journey with the Cowboys, with the Cobol Cowboys, did you have any idea that it was going to grow into this type of company, or how did it get started?
Okay, we've been very fortunate with media attention. A reporter from Reuters contacted us And if she wanted to write an article, it was what happens when a company needs to bring you back. They let you go because they're going to replace you're going to replace your software, but it takes longer and they need to bring you back. Well, based on that interview and from the actual Reuters document, out of 195 countries, 125 countries visited our website. We had hundreds of individuals coming to us, and all at once we had so many unsolicited resumes. We didn't know what to do with them because we were not expecting that. And then later on, the Wall Street Journal highlighted us, and last fall, Fortune magazine highlighted us on AI and Cobol and AI back and forth. And but it's the media attention. What point I'm trying to make here, we do not have a sales team. We have never used a salesperson, although we get daily people wanting to help us. They want to give us money. They want to find clients for it. We don't need either one of those because we've been very fortunate.
That's a heck of a business model. I love it, Bill. Congratulations. You know, we think about it and we think about, programmers, and some people have said that there's a concern that there might be a shortage of COBOL programmers. How are we solving that? What are the Cowboys doing to solve that?
Okay. First of all, when we talk about Cobol Cowboys, we got cowboys and cowgirls.
All right, here we go. I like split.
It. We have them of all ages. And we don't see a concern within Cobalt Cowboys. Maybe the industry does, but within us, we get 4 or 5 resumes a week. I mean, it's crazy, and but it's good for us because we're able to increase our ability to find people. But we do not see a shortage. And then one of the reasons is you can teach COBOL in 2 or 3 days. What's missing in all languages, whether it be Java or COBOL or .NET or C# is the business rules. The young people getting into this industry, they don't know the business rule. How do you process a transaction for a bank or insurance company? We have a wealth of knowledge. You can't believe the knowledge we have here within our resumes. It's unbelievable. And so we don't see that as a problem for Cobalt Cowboys because we are all ages. We have juniors, middle consultants, and seniors, different levels. And the beauty of Cobalt Cowboys, if one of our consultants have an issue, they can touch base with one of our other consultants. So we're a big family. We're a family that likes to that has a life work environment balance, and we do not lose people. We've lost one person, unfortunately, because her spouse had a medical condition. She had to be home and do 24/7. But we do not. We pay well, and we give them an opportunity. If a consultant wants to work 80 hours a month because he wants to spend time with his family, or she does, we have engagements that do that for them. So basically, they are their own entrepreneurs. That's what the independent stuff really are taking. And all we ask is that they all, when we put them on site, we do not micromanage. We don't want to micromanage because you shouldn't have to. If you have to micromanage a person, you shouldn't have them anyway. But we put them on site. We put them on site, and they must act in a professional manner. They must represent us. We don't have many rules, but you don't do things that are not acceptable. Like you do not make a change to a program when you think there's a bug without checking on with the management. Say, I think there's an issue here. Here it is. You want me to look at it and change it? And they say, no, it's okay. Man, we do not do things like that. And we shouldn't do things like that.
Well, yeah, and your reputation precedes yourself. Everybody talks about what you're doing. Of course, we've got the Cowgirls. We're going to bring Eileen on the show in a few months for a big business update. You guys are working on some very interesting things, but I want to talk about your thoughts with you and Eileen. You must sit around and you're thinking about these large companies. You're thinking about these Fortune 100, these giant, massive companies, and they must have a reluctance really to replace their legacy COBOL systems. Why is there a reluctance? Why has COBOL stayed around since the 80s and is going strong today?
That question reminds me of a couple of questions that young reporters ask me.
There
What
you
is
go.
COBOL and why is it still being used? And I just want to blurt out because it works.
I love it.
And no, basically, if you move to a newer language, uh, you a lot of times you go through the same process. You have to run tests, get the user acceptance. I mean, put in production. There's a bank over in the UK that did that without testing it right, and they lost thousands of customers. The CEO was fired, and all the executives did not get their bonuses. So, but the newer language has this place. It really does. We really like the newer language on the front end with customer facing transactions like ATMs or in front of the screen at home doing banking. But then it has to pass the information onto the back end. That's COBOL because it does the blunt of the work. Or if you go in and need information, you pull it from COBOL. It's unbelievable. And one thing else I haven't mentioned, in addition to what we do in Cobol Cowboys, I have been expert witnesses on the integration of software. I testified in front of the state of New Jersey Senate on unemployment claims. We worked with a congressional office that was doing some things for the Department of Homeland Security. So we do a lot of things outside of just code. We do a lot of expertise, give a lot of advice to people. We love training the young people. And by the way, more and more young people are realizing that what they're taught in college, in the newer technology, they need to know what the back end of COBOL is doing. So we have them coming to us. So we're basically an educational company, although we don't call ourselves that because we educate a lot of people. And we gave 45 interviews on COVID-19 when people said COBOL was a problem. It wasn't COBOL, it was the front end. But anyway, we give a lot of interviews, and we're supposed to go on to the Daily Show. And after talking with the guy in charge there, they decided that no, we don't need you because you're not going to tell our story. All we want to hear. So anyway, we get all kind. Even the Sundance Studio contacted us, say they want to do a documentary on what happened if Y2K had not been fixed.
Wow.
And man, credit scores go out. People would be delinquent in their payments. I mean, Uncle Sam would be after you. I mean, unfortunately, the Y2K was solved. It was a big deal, but because there was no ripples from it, some people think it's a small deal, but it was a big deal. People working 24/8 almost to get this thing.
Really interesting. And of course, when you talk about what's happening, the new IBM software can take legacy COBOL applications to the cloud and web environment. And you're involved with that as well, correct?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we also were involved with COBOL and Java running together on the mainframe. So we're involved in all aspects of it. And the beauty of what we offer is that we got over 600 cowboy cowgirls, as we talked about. We always find a match.
I love it. I love it. You guys do a great job. Let's get into entrepreneurship. I think it's real important. Here you are with Eileen. You've built a great company. You're sought after. Referrals are coming in left and right. Your phones ring off the hook on a daily basis saying, hey, we need a cowboy or a cowgirl to help us out. And, you facilitate that. For the younger entrepreneurs watching this show, let's talk to the younger entrepreneurs because they're listening to you. Obviously, you've been around. You've built a great company. You have a great vision. You have a great legacy in the COBOL system programs, and you're thinking about the future with some of the AI that's going on now. I mean, you're really thinking it through with your wife. For the younger entrepreneurs watching the show, maybe they're having a tough time. Maybe they haven't been through the battles, like we have. Can you give some advice to the younger entrepreneurs about what it takes to get through a tough time in business, Bill?
Well, it's always good to reach out to friends and business acquaintances. But the main thing is never be afraid to start a company. That is your passion. Never be afraid. Sometimes you fail, sometimes you don't. And it can be challenging to start up, but it's also rewarding over time. Rewarding over time. And I always tell them, never give up your passion, your success. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. But I also realize I've started 4 companies. Some I've sold to companies on the New York Stock Exchange and so forth. Each time I've started, I've had a contract in my back pocket. I've started each company with $2,000 or max, but I had contracts. And that's the biggest part, is getting that first or second contract. If you have it in your back pocket, you are immediate success. And only you can screw it up. Okay.
I love it. That's great advice. And of course, you and Eileen, one thing that you've built your careers and your reputation on is the fact that you take great care of your clients. I mean, when somebody comes to you and they need some help, they need some software development, some maintenance, some support, maybe they need some deliverables, or they need some additional solutions or sort of out of the box thinking that you're become known for. What brought you and Eileen to this idea that it's a customer-centric business? In other words, yeah, you're all about COBOL and you're all about the tech stacks and everything else, but really it's about taking care of the customer, right?
That is true. That is true. The customer, we view our customer as number one, our consultants number two, and Eileen and I are number three. We take care of our consultants who take care of our clients. We take care of our clients who, by paying us, take care of our consultants. I mean, we all work together. We all work together, and basically, because we do what the consultant wants as long as it makes sense and it's legal. I mean, that's all it's about. And we adhere to their time frames. We adhere to their budgets. Most times we're under budget. We're really concerned. We're business like they are, and we watch the bottom line like they do. And but if they have an urgent SOS, man, we don't even have to have a contract. We are there for them. That leads to contracts, of course. But
I love it. I love it. I mean, I'm going to do a show maybe with you and, of course, Eileen called How to Get the Contract. I mean, this is fantastic. Thank you, Bill, so much for bringing us inside COBOL, what you're doing at the Cowboys and Cowgirls, I'll call it. You and Eileen have done a great job co-founding the business and, of course, operating it to the level that it is. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on the .com magazine, Entrepreneurs.
Just one comment.
Yes,
Cobol Cowboys would not be what it is without Eileen. She was our PR person. She holds it together. She named the company. She's a blessing. She's a blessing. And she had made me do a life work balance. I used to work all the time. She says, "No, honey, we have a life also." And anyway, Eileen, I give Eileen all the credit because she named the company Cobol Cowboys. Everybody loves that name. So
I love it. And of course, you have a great partnership, a great marriage, and a great business partnership as well. And all men know that if you're married to a great gal, boy, things just really become much more amazing in one's life and one's business. So, Bill, thanks again for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time, and we are blessed, and we thank the guy up above for most of that. So thank you again for having us.